It's the end of Ozark, or is it? Now, don't worry, that's not a spoiler. There's definitely a finality to these final 7 episodes. But when you put your business hat on, well, I think it's actually pretty clear to anyone. They're leaving the door open. I'm not saying here comes Ozark season 5, but I think they've definitely laid the groundwork for Ozark to maybe return in a few years or to do some kind of spin-off show. There's more story to tell, and again, as I said, they leave that door open. A lot of character deaths, though. Don't worry about it. You're going to have such a good time. I would watch more Ozark forever as long as they kept up the quality, and they have consistently throughout the entire 4 seasons, including this extended one. In fact, I would argue it gets better and better. This is iconic television. And Ozark Season 4 Part 2, again another 7 episodes, does not disappoint. It is such a white-knuckle, edge-of-your-seat roller coaster ride that while I'd planned to watch it over the course of 3 days, I was going to go 2, 2, 3. I was like, oh, that's great. I'll have a little Ozark movie every night. Well, night 2, I just couldn't stop watching. I stayed up and finished the whole thing because it's a fantastic binge. Woo! And you're going to want to binge this ASAP to avoid spoilers. But I will say that each episode is so explosive and exciting that I can't help but wonder if maybe Ozark would have been as popular and as discussed as an HBO show, Disney Plus too, but HBO has similar content, so you would think Ozark would shine as brightly, but it doesn't air week to week. Maybe if it aired week to week, it'll trend this weekend. Oh, it will trend. But it could be something that was a weekly discussion and maybe more a part of the pop culture landscape. Something for them to consider, definitely. As Netflix tries to get out of their current situation, as we keep telling them, they might want to consider the weekly release. They are, I think, they're doing it and experimenting it with some ways, but I think Ozark is a show that they should have done it with. Now, I'm not going to ruin the ending because that would be a mean thing to do, but I'm also under strict spoiler embargo for Netflix until Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's very unusual. As you know, I normally would drop the spoiler review as soon as the episodes drop, so it'll be ready and waiting for you when you finish the season, season 4 part 2. But I'm not allowed to do it because I think they want to make sure that this doesn't get ruined for people. And they know you're busy. They know there's a lot of content out there. But once you start Ozark Season 4 Part 2, you won't be able to stop. They should have let me drop my spoiler review tomorrow morning. But we'll talk about it on Monday. And stay off the interwebs to keep yourself from having these twists and turns spoiled. I was shocked multiple times, and it was great. What I will say is that this might go down as one of the best series finales since The Sopranos. I was impressed with an ending deliberately left open for interpretation. I have my theories. I really had to think about it too. At first I was just like, what was that? And then I thought about it and I was like, why did that happen in particular? And so then I was like, oh, I think I get it. And we'll talk about it on Monday. All right, now there's also, I want you to watch out, particularly once you've finished it. There is a key line in episode 8, which is really episode 1 of part 2, but they just keep on going with the numbering, so it's through 8 through 14. But there is a key line there that actually foreshadows what happens to a specific character. And I was so impressed with that level of writing and insight into the characters that this show has created. I was like, wow, that's good. Every show needs a great villain, and with Ozark, that villain has without a doubt become Wendy Byrde. Oh, I know some of you have already been on the Wendy Byrde sucks train, but I have been holding out. I'm like, because here's why. I always felt she was just being a tough businesswoman, right? Holding her own with the guys. Because in so many other of these kinds of anti-hero shows, the wife character is always complaining about what her husband's doing, and she gets sidelined, and she's just basically a giant wet blanket. So to see Wendy in on the action, a partner for Marty, who in some cases, in some areas, excelled and was even better, I've always felt that was really cool. But this time, for the final 7 episodes, Wendy's a monster. Move over. I'm here to join the Wendy Sucks party. I actually said to myself, that woman's out of control. She's a monster. There's no question about it anymore. And kudos to Laura Linney for making her a nuanced and believable monster and having the guts to play such a thoroughly despicable character. I'm not gonna lie, I don't love that the wife is so horrible, and I really hate the bitches be crazy trope. But I mean, you need someone to do it, and it's a very complex, rich, nuanced character. But I am torn on it, as I am on a few things on these final 7 episodes. All right, so anyway, and Marty Byrde enables her. That's one of the most fascinating things about these final episodes. And you'll recall even, I thought of this while I was watching these 7 episodes, one of the catalysts for this whole show was that she was cheating on him. And he still wanted to be in a relationship with her. So much so that part of him was glad they had to move to the Ozarks and hunker down, because it meant they kept their marriage together. I mean, we've dug a lot into Wendy's past over the course of this show, and still even more so in these final episodes in a fascinating way. But I wish we knew more about Marty's past to understand how he could love Wendy so much so that even his own children can no longer understand it. I mean, I'm telling you, there's story left on the table here. I would really like to know more about Marty. And don't worry, it's still very much his show too. He's he's a huge part of it. Marty's a huge part. I can only discuss so many things here because I don't want to have spoilers. And also, of course, in addition to Jason Bateman and Laura Linney, Ozark is as much Julia Garner's show. And these final episodes do not disappoint when it comes to her story as well. Just don't worry, Marty has he has some incredible moments. I can't wait to talk about them. All right, but back to Ruth. Ruth really comes into her own here. Finally, no longer held back by Marty, Wendy, or Darlene. The trading wheels are off. She finally gets to make her own moves, as she's been wanting to do since we met her. And it's a joy to watch. Oh, it was so fun. However, as much fun as that was, Ruth's grief over the loss of her cousin Charlie is very movingly done as well. A shadow hanging over her. We could see his death was the final straw in episode 7 with that incredible reaction that she had. And it's the one that's hurt the most. And I think the one that, as you can see, truly lingers. It was very touching. There are a lot of twists and turns here. A lot! And one of the many places that Ozark has shined continually across its run is it manages to keep things interesting and surprising. And of course, the Navarro drug cartel is still a huge player, with Veronica Falcone taking on a much bigger role here as Navarro's sister and Javi's mother, and delivering yet another complex, nuanced female character to this crime thriller. I've loved the female characters on this show. And here's another great one. Speaking of crime, I would say the fundamental question of Ozark throughout has been, where is the line? Is there anything Marty Byrde and his family won't do? I mean, it's a slippery slope, they've established that, but there's an intentionality in there as well, especially when you start to really get into the mud here. I mean, isn't that why Jonah moved out, right? Because he feels there's a disagreement as to where the line is. And on that note, I also feel this show is a lot about family and how a lot of the things adults do are for their children, and also how their children feel about that and deal with it, like the question of legacy. So to see these final episodes explore these two things, where's the line, and legacy, like why are you doing it, and are you really doing it for that reason, and is it worth it, and how do your children even want you to? Maybe they really do. Maybe they really want you to. I mean, it's all really, really fascinating. So, wow, people will definitely be talking. Again, they had enough here for a week-to-week conversation. So that's, I think, maybe something that will always haunt this show. Maybe they should have gone week to week. I don't know, they got their awards. They're doing really well. But anyway, stay off social media. Watch it as fast as you can. And also, be sure to join me back here on Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time when that spoiler embargo lifts. And we can talk about all this amazing stuff. Oh boy! I can't wait to hear your theories about what you think happens at the end. All right, share those thoughts down below, subscribe today, and of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.